The title of our book is Lilac Girls by Martha Hall Kelly. This book falls into the genre of historical fiction and is 476 pages long. The story follows the lives of three very different girls: Caroline, a New Yorker woman working for the war effort; Cassia, a Polish girl whose life changes drastically when the war starts; and Herta, a German doctor looking for work in a male-dominated world. Now, Cassia, a mother, sister, and most importantly a survivor, will tell us the story in depth.
Hello, I'm Cassia, and I was part of the Ravensbrück Rabbits. Before the Nazis took over Poland, I lived a fairly content life. It was ruined in seconds when the Nazis dragged Pietrik's sister, my Matka, and I away to a concentration camp. I suffered through great loss, including a teacher who I watched be murdered and was forced to drag her away to a pile of other deceased people. Pietrik's sister, who became one of the rabbits with me and later on was taken away to be killed, and many others. The camp in the beginning was a work camp and later became a camp where doctors experimented on helpless girls. I left the camp with less than I came with. Going back home was tough, but something I longed for every day living in the camp. People back home accused my sister and I of being spies for Germany, and my father moved on from losing my mother with a woman I didn't approve of. I married Pietrik and had a beautiful daughter of my own. I also received medical help from people in America, although the medical help in Poland would have helped just as well. My life was a roller coaster of hardships, and after coming home from the camp, it changed completely. I don't know what I would have done without the people who walked next to me in this journey, and everything has fallen into place, just like the click of a compact.
Martha Hall Kelly. This story of the Ravensbrück Rabbits is essentially unheard of. The atrocities the women faced at Ravensbrück concentration camp is often less spoken about, and even more is a life after war filled with hardships that many of these women faced. What inspired you to write about these topics and these three characters' stories in particular?
The characters that I chose to write about in Lilac Girls are all immensely diverse in personality and religion. Caroline Faraday, who works at a French consulate in New York, is a hopeless romantic for a married man, and is also a woman who turns into a determined hero when she meets another character who has been troubled later in the story. Caroline Faraday was also a real person, and her fictional character in the book was molded from her real-life personality. The next character, Herta Oberhuser, is a medical student acting as a nurse at the Ravensbrück Women's Concentration Camp. I chose to create a character like Herta to allow the readers to visualize how the inflictors thought about their own actions that they were carrying out for Germany. The last character, named Kasia Kuzmarek, was one of the Polish women at the same camp that Herta was nursing at, and she was experimented on by the doctors. Kasia's point of view showcased the struggles and pain that many minorities were forced to endure during World War II. Near the end of the book, the characters Caroline and Kasia meet and discuss what Herta did at Ravensbrück concentration camp, and they team up to expose her actions. This relationship was important to include in the story to portray a theme of female strength in friendship.
This novel is a complex story about the lives of three very different women living very different lives, but still manage to intertwine in very special ways. The story is in the backdrop of the war, but continues on in years after, and Martha Hall Kelly captivates the readers with a suspenseful storyline. The expert will go into detail as why you may want to pick up this book for a read. This book is definitely worth the read, and I think anyone can find the story captivating, touching, and bittersweet as you get to know the characters and read about what they go through. It highlights a very unheard story of Caroline Faraday and the way she worked to help the women of Ravensbrück. It shows the power of good relationships, especially seen with Cassia's journey. Cassia was able to survive the camp and even more survive the rest of her life with the relationships she developed with other people. Cassia has strong female relationships in particular, specifically Cassia and her sister and Cassia and Caroline. It also shows the power of compassion and how necessary it is to survival, and how it makes the world or someone's life better. If you enjoy well-written, enticing stories about survival through compassion and closure, then you will sure enjoy Lilac Girls. World War II and the atrocities with the Holocaust has brought many stories of hidden heroes who did things without any sort of reward. This book can relate to certain books in this time period, such as The Book Thief. This story is similar, and it follows a girl who is struggling under the new regime of Hitler, especially with the burning of books, which he finds disturbing. A movie to watch if you enjoy this book is Schneider's List. It reminded me a lot of Caroline's work with the girls, and follows a story about a man who employs Jews to save them from the horrors of the camps. Lilac Girls is set in the years of World War II, the biggest war ever seen in man. It brought atrocities and horrors that would not be further heard of for years to come, and would decimate Europe, especially with the warfare as well as the aftermath. Our historian will now go into further details about the Ravensbrück experiments.
Hi, my name is Hannah Simpson, and I'm a Holocaust historian, but I specialize in the Ravensbrück concentration camp and the operations that took place there. I've done extensive research over the last few years, finding and collecting artifacts such as medical records and equipment used during these horrible operations. In Ravensbrück, there were 74 documented cases of experiments on the rabbits, or Polish women as young as 16 years old. One of the files saved was Kasia Kuzmaritz. She's gone through so many hardships while staying at Ravensbrück and agrees the operations were equivalent to torture. The goal of the operations were to cripple these women and stimulate battle injuries. This included breaking their bones, removing muscle, and cutting their legs open to spread bacteria and germs all over the open wound. These women suffered excruciating pain and permanent physical disability. They were also prone to more sickness because of the germs they were exposed to. To make matters worse, many of the women who survived were unable to get proper treatment for the operations after they made it out of Ravensbrück.
Lilac Girls is a captivating, heart-wrenching book that teaches us a lot. It taught us about the hidden hero Caroline Faraday and gave us an insight on the horror characters such as Cassia faced in the concentration camp and in her life after. It also shows a new side of the story with German Dr. Herta, showing her struggles with coming to terms with her actions. Lilac Girls is a book that I recommend to anyone who not only enjoys historical fiction, but also anyone looking for a heart-touching story about women coming together in times of hardship with compassion and love.